I've heard the name Rappahannock Community College a little bit, and I was impressed to see they had job openings, and I thought, I'm going to apply for a job there, so I think we'll look at their website. One of the first things I see there, the word library. Bingo. Not bad. Not every college does this. The fact that libraries here is two things. It tells me, first of all, the library matters, but also it makes me as the library is easier to find for students who are looking for the website. 3 choices here, but that's okay. We'll click on College Library, and there's the library website, which I have no responsibility for in the sense that this is all what was created before me. The only thing I've done to this since I've arrived is change the hours. And again, a lot of times people wonder, why are the hours what they are? And this is something I've learned more about. Again, being new, I've asked that question. Hours are basically based on demand. When have people been in the library? Always happy if other people are happy about hours, but if we do get any complaints to it, gee, I wish you were open longer on Fridays, for example, or wish you were open later at night, and we'll listen to those, and if the complaints are there, I have to justify when I go to the school administration and say, I need more money to stay open later. They're going to say, why do you need it? I'm going to have to say, because students have asked for it. But if students don't ask for it, I'm not going to ask for increased hours. Anyway, on our homepage here, the action is right in this section. Catalog, databases, electronic journals, research guides. This is where most of the time you'll be using the library's website. Down along the left side, though, we have a few other options. Ask a librarian. By clicking here, you get our phone numbers at each library. Again, this is the front desk phone numbers. You can reach me by clicking here next to library coordinator. What this is doing is opening up a mail to link, so I'm not going to go there for that. Here's what I'll tell you. You see the phone numbers that are here? You can reach me at these numbers, but if you take a look at the business card I gave you, it's a different number. It's my private line. Consider me your personal librarian. You guys have access to my office phone. I don't know if there's any advantage to that at all. The difference is that I'm not there, you'll have to leave a message. If you call the front desk, there's always somebody there. So you may get faster service if you call the front desk. But anyway, you can see our library staff members' names are listed here as well. The Glenn's Library, and then over here at Warsaw, and last week with us. Linda Taylor has worked here 35 years and knows this town and this library inside out. It's fantastic. It's the nicest lady. I'm really enjoying working with her. Ruth Lynn is the one who goes out to farmers market and to daycare centers and to nursing homes. She takes activities out to the nursing homes for people with Alzheimer's disease and works with them. And an amazing lady. She's basically, public libraries do this kind of stuff as they go out and outreach to the community. So Ruth does most of that for us. It's a great group of people. I've really enjoyed working with them. So anyway, you're getting that here under phone. Email, pretty much the same page. Chat. This interested me a lot. I was puzzled by this, and I actually went into it one night about 11:30 to see what would happen. And I asked the question, who am I talking to? And the answer came back, my name is Diane, and I work at Mankato State University in Minnesota. And apparently this is a national or international collection. It's actually noticed by the name of Question Point. And it's an organization where libraries contribute their staff members' time to it. I don't know that any of us are doing this. Maybe other people in the other community colleges are contributing time. But when you send a question here, it's a chat session. And your question will be answered while you wait there on screen. And what they're going to do is they'll have information about where you're from because of where you entered into their system. They'll show them, they'll know that you're from Rappahannock Community College in Warsaw, Virginia. If you're in Minnesota, you may not know where that is, but they basically will be aware of where you're coming from, and they will try to help you as best they can. And sometimes they'll even go to your school's website and look around there and find, oh, here's something, and they'll send you a link through the chat. So basically, this is a 24-hour-a-day service where you get help in the middle of the night when there's no one else out and awake to help you here from Rappahannock. So this is something I encourage you to try, and if you have good or bad experiences with it, let me know. Again, I don't really have questions for it because, I'm a guy who provides answers myself, so I was more curious about who are you, and they gave me a nice answer to that. Some of your questions, by the way, that you sent me are answered right here. How does the new printing system work? And I'm still learning this WIPA thing, so I'm on your same page as many of you learning it. Do I need a library card? And you click on any one of these and the answer pops up on screen, and you can read this and get some useful information. So a few of the questions you sent me are included here. Okay? The actual catalog for what the library owns is up here. If you can choose to search all the community colleges if you want to, but it defaults at Rappahannock Community College. And again, if you type a search in here, I'll do a quick lesson in searching. Tattoos. Now, I don't think any of you were planning to go into tattoo work as your career field, but who knows? We click go. What this is doing is a search for the word tattoos, and I can't believe it only found 3, but that's what it did. One thing I'm finding, and Ruth, this is interesting to me, is our catalog does not give the same answer every time when I do searches. And Leslie Smith and I were talking about this morning, especially when I'm showing it to people. It's really embarrassing when I know what it's supposed to say and it doesn't say that. Now, I don't think 3 is the right number on tattoos, so I'm going to go back and do the search again. But look at that, it's tying me up, it won't let me back up. Now I've got to search for tattoos with 16 items in it, and all I did was hit my back button 3 times. And if you hold one leg up and put your arm up, it'll find 12. I'm making that up, but can you see how nuts that is? Is that I didn't do anything, and yet I got 2 different answers. We're having some difficulty. I will be in touch with the authorities about this. But anyway, the point I wanted to make is if you do a search for a word like tattoos, it's called a keyword search, and it's looking at titles. So like some of these tattoos. No, why on earth does the word tattoo lead to this book? Like beer is cheaper than therapy. When I click on that, there it is. There's a chapter in this thing called Guns and Tattoos, and the computer found that word right there. Now the way I did this search, again backing up and assuming it'll let me click backwards here. No, it's not going to let me do that, so I hold down the back button, and that way I can go down and jump backwards a few steps. What I did is I typed in the word tattoos right here, and what it's doing, these little buttons, these are called radio buttons. Anywhere means it's looking at titles, subjects, descriptions, everywhere I can look for that word, which is the most thorough kind of search. If I wanted things where that was in the title of the book, I would click there. If I had an author whose last name was tattoos, I would do this. Or if I wanted to get the subject, I tend to not do subject searches because it's guesswork for you at the most part. What word is the right word to use here? Whereas anywhere tends to be a little bit bigger a search. So I'm clicking on this, and this time we got 3 again. Isn't this exciting? You know, the poor, boring, look at now we have 16 now that I've backed up on it. Wow. Thank you for documenting all this on video, Ruth. This is good. Because if somebody says later, well, you're crazy, Dan, it would never do that, we now have proof. What I wanted to show you with the tattoo search is one quick idea, which is one of the most important ideas of searching, and that is called truncation. See that little asterisk I put after the last O? That is called truncation. It's a search command that just about every search tool knows. That star has a meaning. And what truncation means, I don't have a notepad open, so I'll just tell you. It basically tells the computer find every word that starts with these letters.
Do you guys remember that from your searching videos?
So you've heard of this before then? Good. Anyway, this to me solves most of the problems when students email and say, I can't find anything. It's because they guessed one version of a word like tattoos, but maybe tattooing is where all the books are. Or tattooed, or just tattoo without the S on it. Sometimes singular and plural is the hardest problem to solve, which is which. Well, tattoo star looks for every word starting with those letters. When I hit go now, I should get not only 16, but more. Yeah, 53. So in that case, it actually seemed to work right. So basically, I tripled my results by simply changing the S on tattoos. When I typed in tattoos, it was looking for one exact 7-letter word. By typing tattoo star, it's looking for a 6-letter word plus anything that starts with the same letters. Tattooed, tattooing, tattooer. I don't think that's a word, but anyway, the idea is you don't have to guess which one's right. And again, in terms of what's here, you'll see that they're always listed in date order, unless you go into advanced search and tell it otherwise. The newest things are first. And then it'll also here describe whether it's a book to check out. Here's something that's a video online access. If you click on this, it'll actually stream on your computer. You can watch it at home. We have about 9,000 films in this collection called Films on Demand. And the library pays for it. The reason why we pay for these videos, we know that there's YouTube out there, and YouTube is sometimes fantastic, but YouTube's got a lot of junk in it too. Films on Demand is 9,000 educational films. The reason why we buy stuff like this, the logic to me is like HBO. Why does somebody buy HBO? Because they think the quality is going to be better. I asked one class that, and they said, because it's naked. And I said, no. Maybe that's why you think it's better, but that's not why. It's because you think the stuff is better. That's why you pay money for it. If nakedness equals better to you, okay, then you're right. Anyway, the idea, we don't get films on demand because it's naked. We get it because it's better. Now, there may be nudity in some of the medical films there, I don't know. But that's why we get these databases, these journal articles as well, because the quality there is better than you'll get on the open internet. The open internet has great stuff too. I never want to put that down. The open internet amazes me ever continually what good stuff is there. But this is more concentrated. Like HBO tends to have more high quality stuff. The databases we offer you does the same thing. So in here, you're getting films mixed in with books, and some of these books are online books as well. For the students here, because that's primarily what we are as a college library. But what happens is the town of Warsaw and the county of Richmond pay us money to be their public library. We were the first college library in Virginia to do this. There's only about 10 or 12 in the whole United States, but one now down in Tidewater Community College and Virginia Beach Public Library are going together to do the same idea. So Virginia Beach is imitating us. Children's section. So we have all sorts of comfortable things for kids there. They have different tables and there's iPads in there for the kids to play with. This is where they have story time on Tuesday mornings at 10. They have a big monitor so they can watch films together in there if they like. And some of our library staff go in here, but we also have volunteers in the community. Teachers, for example, who might be home with their own kids, who just want to work with other kids in the library, and they come in. So this is a kind of a neat extra thing that you won't see in most college libraries. And you, by the way, are welcome to use this too. You can come in and borrow things from our children's library if you have children at home, or if you have little brothers or sisters who would like this stuff. This is your library. All of this, the public and the college, is for all of you. Audiobooks. So when I first came here to visit, before I even got the job interview, I sent my application in, and I took the afternoon and I came over to see it. I live in Richmond City, and I drive over every day. But I came over to see this place, and I walked in, and I thought, whoa, audiobooks in the college library. And then I remembered, oh yeah, they're a public library too. So these are fun. Again, I'm a commuter, so I drive about an hour each way to work every day. So I've been listening to some of this. One that we just got, in fact, it's not even on the shelf yet, but I was listening to it. It was donated. It's the Garrison Keillor Prairie Home Companion joke shows, where they do 2 hours of really silly jokes, which is great to keep you awake when you drive through. But that's going to be here to check out sometime soon. But there's language lessons, there's whole novels. Over at the Glenn's campus, they've got one that I can't wait to listen to. Do you all know who Keith Richards is? The Rolling Stones guitarist. Last year, he wrote an autobiography called Life. And it's a big fat book. It's bestseller, New York Times and all this stuff. A really popular book. It's his autobiography of his life as a Rolling Stones guitarist and heroin addict and all the other things he's done. Johnny Depp, you've heard of him? Yes. You know Jack Sparrow, the character? The way he learned to do Jack Sparrow is by imitating Keith Richards. Keith is English. He's got this sort of sing-song little voice, and his head tends to go like this when he talks. And Johnny Depp basically said, Keith Richards is who I'm doing when I do Jack Sparrow. And in fact, in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Keith Richards plays his father in the movie. Well, anyway, the audiobook of this is in our library, and Johnny Depp reads it. I can't wait to hear this. Johnny Depp, because he'll probably end up imitating Keith Richards' voice while he does it. But it's, it's multiple CDs long. The book is like this thick in print, so you can imagine it's a long time to listen to it. I don't know how long the hours will take. But I can't wait to hear this thing, Johnny Depp. It's going to sound like Pirate Jack Sparrow. Over here we have also fiction and nonfiction sort of mixed in together. We've got over here group rooms where you can come in the group and plug in to a large plasma monitor like this. And so like any one of you sitting around the table can plug in and share a project that you're working on together. We do let us, if people are nice, we let them use the room by themselves if no one else is waiting. Also, by the way, even though it looks like it's soundproof, you can see that there's a big airspace up there, so she can probably hear every word I'm saying through the glass. So don't think that it's a soundproof wall, because sound comes in and out from there. Thank you for letting us look at you for a moment. We're moving on. Another group meeting room here. Again, this one doesn't have quite the technology in it, but again, if you just have a group project that you're working on with other people, or you want to study together, here's a place where you can get together and talk to each other and not feel like you're bothering people around you. That's the idea of a group study room. Over here, these are two things. This is historical books about Richmond County. Again, we're the public library, so we need to have these things. But this is also reserve books. If your professor buys a copy of the textbook for your class, and a lot of them do that, they often will put it on reserve, which means you have access to a free copy of your textbook in the library. Now, one of my goals in my first year here as a librarian is I want to be able to tell students that we have every textbook in the library. Now, some of them are going to be donated by the professors, but those that aren't, I want the library to buy. So that I hope that by next fall, when we have students come in learning about the library, we're going to be able to tell them every book that's required here. Rappahannock will be in the library on reserve. The on reserve designation means they can only borrow it for a short time. Now, you can't check it out for 4 weeks like regular books. That way, you can share it with your classmates. Typically, an on reserve book can be borrowed for 2 hours or sometimes overnight, but not longer than that. So the point is that many people can use it rather than just 1 or 2. So my goal again is to add to this so I can eventually tell students next year all our books, all the textbooks that you have to buy, we've got them in the library for free. Because I know that textbooks are really expensive, very. So hopefully we can save students money with that. We do have a microfilm machine, not used very often anymore, but occasionally someone has microfilm and again a machine here to read it.
Could you tell them what that is? I tried talking to them about that, and most of the students had never heard of that.
This happens to be the Northern Neck News from January 1928 through December 1929. It's like slides, except it looks a little blacker so far. There we go. Finally, there's some content. It's miniaturized photographs of every page of the newspaper for those 2 years.
Oh, cool.
New York Times, I don't know if we have it here, but libraries that have the microfilm goes back to 1851. This technology used to be heavily used in libraries. Nowadays, with things online, something like this might be digitized if it were more popular. But see, this is Northern Neck News. How many people in the world want to read this? That's not a put down at all. It's just the fact that it's a small area. People in Northern Neck want to read it. Maybe in Richmond, people might want to read about the area. But beyond that, people in New York City, for the most part, or Washington, or other parts of the world, are not going to want to read a small local paper. So this is not popular enough to spend the money to digitize a thing and stick it on the internet. So the microfilm is the only way to have this. The single idea about our library is that most of our library is on the internet. We have easily, in the Factiva database alone, there's about 7,000 full-text magazines and newspapers there. More than everything you see here is in that one database. The EBSCO database is another 6,000 or 7,000 more journals and magazines. We have about 20 or 30,000 ebooks online, which is more books than are in our libraries. Both here in Glenn's together adds up to about 40,000 physical books. But easily we have about the same number in ebooks online. So the physical library here, when I first came to it, I thought, oh, this is really small. Then I went to the website and I said, oh, that's where most of it is. So the content is mostly online, and our job is to help you find it. The beauty of the online, it doesn't matter what time the library closes. If you have a home computer, internet access, the library never closes for you.